the question that I've been thinking about is, what does Sundar do? Right? So what's the countermeasure?
Yes, this is what I was going to get to.
I think the countermeasure here, if I was him, is to go to the board and say, guys, we're going to double TAC. Right? So TAC is the traffic acquisition cost that Google pays their publishers. It is effectively their way of guaranteeing an exclusivity on search traffic. So for example, if you guys have an iPhone, it's Google Search. That's the default search in the iPhone. Google pays Apple. This year, this renegotiation for that deal could mean that Apple gets paid $25 billion for giving away that right to Google. So Google does all these kinds of deals. Last year, they spent, I think, $45 billion or so. So about 21%.
In a way, when you think about that, Chamath, Google basically paid Apple, which was working on search technology. They were working on a search solution. They paid them to stay out of the business.
And they're paying everybody. So I think the question for Google is the following. If you think you're going to lose share, and let's say you go to 75% share, would you rather go there and actually still maintain your core stranglehold on search? Or do you actually want 75% share where now all of these other competitors have been seeded? Well, you can decay business model quality and still remain exclusive if you just double the TAC. And what you do is you put all these other guys on their heels because, as we talked about, if you're paying publishers 2 times more than what anybody else is paying them, you'll be able to get publishers to say, hey, you know what? Don't let those AI agents crawl your website because I'm paying you all this money. Remember that, right? So do not crawl in robots.txt equivalent for these AI agents. And I think that that'll put Microsoft and all these other folks on their heels. And then as you have to figure out all this derivative work stuff, all these lawsuits, Google will look pristine because they can say, I'm paying these guys double because I acknowledge that this is a core part of the service. So that's the game theory I think that has to get figured out. But if I was Sundar, I'd double the TAC.
I love the second part because, hold on, let me get Sachs about.
Yeah.
I love the second part, Chamath, because in this clip I'm about to show, Nilay Patel from The Verge did an awesome interview with Satya, and he basically would not answer this question, at least to my satisfaction, which is, hey, what do the publishers get out of this? You've ingested our information. How do we get paid? Watch this clip. It's very telling.
In the answer or even in the chat session.
But if I ask the new Bing, what are the 10 best gaming TVs? And it just makes me a list. Why should I, the user, then click on the link to The Verge, which has another list of the 10 best gaming TVs?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. But even there, you will sort of say, hey, where did these things come from? And would you want to go dig in? Like that, even search today has that. Like we have answers. They may not be as high quality answers. They just are getting better. So I don't think of this as a complete departure from what is expected of a search engine today, which is supposed to really respond to your query, while giving them the links that they can then click on, like ads, and search works that way.
In my mind, there's a terrible answer. He needs to address how they get paid. He punted the answer and just said, hey, listen, search works this way. Sachs, will the rights to the data, will Google just say to Quora, hey, we'll give you $1 billion a year for this data set if you don't give it to anybody else?
They should.
Maybe.
Sachs, the strategist, let me hear your strategy here. You're now CEO of Google. What do you do?
I think there's maybe even a bigger problem before that, which is I think the whole monetization model might change. So the reason why Google monetizes so well is perceived as having the best search. And then it gives you a list of links, and a bunch of those links are paid, and then people click on them. Now, I think when you search an AI, you're looking for a very different kind of answer. You're not looking for a list of 10 or 20 links. You're just looking for the answer. And so where is the opportunity to advertise against that? I mean, maybe you can charge like an affiliate commission if the answer contains a link in it or something like that. But then you have to ask the question, well, does that distort like best answer? Like, am I really getting the best answer, or am I getting the answer that someone's willing to pay for?
This is your key insight. The fact is, if Google gives you an answer, you don't click on ads. Google has had a very finely tuned balance between, hey, these first 2 or 3 paid ads, the paid links might actually give you a better answer than the content below them. But in this case, if the ChatGPT tells you, hey, this is the top 3 televisions, these are the top 3 hotels, these are the top 3 ways to, write a better essay, you don't need to click. You have now been given an answer, and the model is gone.
The paid link is still a subset in that case. So at Google, we used to have a key metric, was the bounce back rate. So when a user
Explain what a
clicks on
bounce back is, yeah.
So when a user clicks on a result on the search results page, we could see whether or not they came back and searched again. And so that tells you the quality of the result that they were given, because if they don't come back, it means they ended up getting what they were looking for. And so ads that performed better than organic search results, which means someone created the ad, paid for it, and the user clicked on it and didn't come back and came back with less frequency than if they clicked on an organic result, that meant that the ad quality was higher than organic quality. And so the ad got promoted to kind of sit at the top, and it became a really kind of important part of the equation for Google's business model, which is how do we monetize more search results where we can get advertisers to pay for a better result than what organic search might otherwise kind of show. And so it's actually better for the user in this case than, say, just getting an answer. For example, I'm looking for a PlayStation 5. I don't want to just be told, hey, go to Best Buy and buy a PlayStation 5. I want to be taken to the checkout page to buy a PlayStation 5. And I am more likely to be happy if I click on a result and it immediately takes me to the checkout page. And Best Buy is really happy to pay for you to get there because they don't want you looking around the internet looking for other places. And we can't convolute all search queries. Not all search queries are, hey, what's the best dog to get to not pee on the floor, or whatever kind of arbitrary question you might have that you're doing research on. Many search queries are commerce intention related. I want to buy a flight to go somewhere. I want to book a hotel to go somewhere. I want to buy a video game system, etc. That series of queries may have a very different kind of modality in terms of what's the right interface versus the ChatGPT interface, where, yeah, there's a lot of kind of organic results that people sift on the internet for today. And the question earlier can be resolved by Google doing a simple analytical exercise, which is, what's it going to cost us and what's going to give the user the best result? And that's ultimately what will kind of resolve to the better business model. It's really measurable. I think on Chamath's point, today Google pays Apple $15 billion a year to be the default search engine on iPhones on the Safari browser. That's only about a quarter of Google's overall TAC. The majority of Google's traffic acquisition cost is actually not being paid for search. A good chunk of that is being paid to publishers to do AdSense display ads on their sites, and Google's rev share back to them for putting ads on their sites. So, the TAC number, I think maybe you kind of want to move the needle, but the majority of Google searches don't come through the default search engine that they pay Apple to be on. It might move the needle a bit, but I don't think it really changes the equation for them.
My comment is more TAC has to become a weapon on the forward foot, number one. So if you're going to spend 21% of your revenue on TAC, you should be willing to spend 30 to 40% to maintain the 93% market share. I don't think what you want to see is your profit dollars decay because you lose share. It's rather better for you to spend the money and decay your business model than have someone decay it for you in general.
Apple, at this point, Apple is really the only TAC line item.
No, I understand. I understand. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
today. I'm saying take that idea. You have an entire sales team whose job it is right now to sell AdSense, right? You have an entire group of people who know how to account for TAC and how to think about it as a cost. But if you're basically willing to say, out of the $100 billion of free cash flow, I'm willing to go to 80 or 70 billion of free cash flow, combined with the 100 billion of short and long-term investments I have, and I'm going to use it as a weapon. And I'm going to go and make sure that all of these publishers have a new kind of agreement that they signed up for, which is, I'll do my best to help you monetize. You do your best by being exclusive to our AI agents, right? So you deprive other models of your content on your pages, because that will get litigated. And there is no way, just like, again, if you say do not crawl, you're not allowed to crawl if you're Google or Microsoft or a search engine. So, this is going to happen for these agents. It's unrealistic to expect that it won't. So my point is, Google should do this and define how it's done before it's defined for them. Because right now, people are in this nascent phase where everybody thinks everybody's going to be open and get along. And I just think that that's unrealistic.